Welcome back to the SMITE BL split number 3, brought to you by the Aegon Monitor from AOC. I'm Husey. Joining me on the casting desk is Biggie. We are here with our second set of the day. Royalty up against Avant Garde. This one, Biggie, last game we thought was going to be close. It was a bit one-sided. This game, we know from the start, it's pretty much going to be one-sided. Avant, top of the leaderboards, top of most statistical categories. Royalty, down the bottom of the leaderboard, down the bottom of all the statistics.
Yeah, and as well Royalty with a role swap in Hazy into support and Shank in the mid lane. I don't know, I mean maybe they could pull off an upset, but I think this Avant Garde team, especially last week, I guess the quickest game ever in competitive Smite almost. They might be looking to break another record this week.
Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with picks and bans. In just a second here, Royalty have chosen for themselves the first pick. I'd like to see them pick a decently early team comp here rather than something late, which is something they've been leaning towards more as the later game team comps, which really hasn't worked out for them. They haven't been able to get to the late stage of the game.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you're just so out, I guess, skilled as, like, not necessarily as individuals, maybe in some aspects, but as a team, definitely. You don't really want to have, losing lanes or put yourselves on the back foot in your draft. You kind of want to come out, aggressive and, take it to them. Put Avant, put them off guard and try and just, get some momentum and maybe sneak a win.
So interesting here with the bans. Avant banned Freya, have banned Freya in their first two picks 9 out of 12 times, and when they haven't, it's been the other team that's banned it or they've picked it up themselves. So Freya banned away, Ratatoska banned away by Avant, Jingwei banned by Royalty, and Raijin going to be the final ban here for Avant Garde. Everyone in Avant is pretty diverse in terms of what they play. Really, the only exception to that is Gruff, who's Gebel Sylvanas main. He loves those circular ultimates. 10 out of 12 games, he's played one of those two. Started off a lot with a Geb. He's recently been moving more towards the Sylvanas.
Yeah, I think Sylvanas was someone, as, Royalty lock in Susanna, a good pick there for themselves, good aggressive early game pick. And you take that away from Liquid, who, as we saw on LAN, can play some Susanna. And back to the Gruff thing, I think, he was kind of known as a Geb player, but then Sylvanas out of the meta, Richard started, I guess. We saw Richard play it a lot more, and then Gruff's like, okay, give me a go, and proving that he can do the same as, we see the Sylvanas pick with the Erlang for Chuckles.
Yeah, and Chuckles, Erlang hasn't played it as much as some other gods or as much as Only God Solar has, but when he has, he's played it very well. Arma and Ravana are his two main picks, but Erlang Shen as well is pretty up there in terms of what he's picked and what he's won with. Cupid and Vulcan being locked in here for Royalty. I don't mind these picks, actually. Cupid can actually get off a decent amount of wave pressure, got a decent amount of sustain as well, and Vulcan does just very well in the OPL. We could see that 88% win percentage for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering whether there could have been, maybe some higher priority picks. I'm not sure about the Cupid that early. With, Soul, Kronos, these kind of picks beneath even. I'm just a bit surprised by the Cupid pick, that's all.
Well, we haven't seen those that much out of Thegoras. He's more inclined for the magical hunters. He's more inclined to some... Well, he's inclined towards magical hunters. He's played physical hunters a fair bit as well. In the last few weeks, this is the point I'm trying to make. Last few weeks, he's played exclusively physical hunters, whereas the start of the split, he played only magical hunters. So maybe it's something that he's just not quite feeling at the moment. We see our next set of bans, Terra and Fafnir taken away by Avant, Giannis and Sol banned away by Royalty. I'm just thinking that it wasn't as bad as the dishwasher last week.
That's alright. Yeah, it looks, with the Rama locked in for Rob. Just 2 direct bans to iDivine, and then from Avant 2 direct bans to, I'm hoping they knew it was Hazy, so I guess,
yeah.
Or just maybe they just wanted to take, these janky support picks in Terra and Fafnir off the board.
Well, I mean, the Fafnir is a bit more janky at the moment. The Terra is still very strong, so just taking away strong support pick, I suppose. Amaterasu and Geb locked in here for Royalty, and Chang'e, the final pick here for Avant Garde. And, that's something iDivine's played a fair bit with, and I don't think he's lost with this Chang'e yet. I think he's played it twice or 3 times and won all of those contests. And looking at Avant Garde's team composition, it's just a lot of sustain with both the Chang'e and the Sylvanas. Chuckles as well has got a lot of self-heal with that Erlang Shen ultimate and a lot of safety with the turtle form. So it looks to me like Royalty's going to struggle a lot to secure a kill.
Yeah, well, last week I'm sure that I'm pretty sure they played Sylvanas and Chang'e when they, beat Corvidae in 16 minutes. And also going over those second phase bans, I'm very surprised, we saw the Terra sneak through to the second phase of bans.
All right, we're in game now. And I'm the most surprised probably about this Amaterasu pick here from Suspira, who's... What was that? That was a mistimed Heavenly Reflection there, and he's not going to have that for his buff. We can actually see Avant going to invade the blue buff here. Actually going to pick it up. The Hog was used there by Liquid Renegade. They walk out of lane, and now Amaterasu is going to have a mana problem in lane. Royal Custer's actually taken low here. Renegade poke his head around the wall, seeing if he can maybe pick up a kill onto that. Susano walks into the mid lane here, right in front of Shank, and takes no damage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be very happy to be Suspira right now. You're going against Chuckles and as Amaterasu in a losing lane, and you have no blue buff, so it's going to be tough times ahead for him.
And looking like he might fall down here already. Chuckles gets so much damage down onto Suspira, and now he's forcing a minion wave under. Chuckles is having a fantastic season for himself. Top of kills, top of GPM, and you said it last week, probably the best player in the OPL right now, and no one seems to really have the answer for him in the solo lane. Even in losing efforts by Avant, he still does well.
Yeah, I mean, just the transition he made from jungle to solo, I can't really pinpoint where it is, but he's definitely, made that role his own, and as we saw on LAN, and now, continuing to dominate online.
So what I was also saying before with this Amaterasu pick, we saw Only Good at Solo last game with Legacy really struggle in terms of wave clear early, and in a lane that is up against the top player in the scene, you want to have something that you can get a bit of clear off with early, and something you can feel like you can have a little bit of early success in, just so you're not completely bullied out of lane. The Amaterasu doesn't make that much sense to me. Manages to dash away there from the aggression of Liquid and El Chuckles, but nothing much you can do here. And Liquid Renegade as well. It's unfortunate for him that he's on a team with Chuckles. Well, it's fortunate because Chuckles is a great player, but it's unfortunate for him personally because he's having a fantastic split himself. He's actually rotating in here now behind Shank. Manages to force the Purification. Spin to win. One more basic attack will do it. Liquid Renegade gets it just before Idavine can claim they might be able to find Royal Custard here. Minion Wave forced under the tower as well. But Avant pick up a very early first blood. What I was saying with Liquid Renegade as well, just becoming a fantastic jungler. He struggled the first two splits. This split been doing fantastically, second most kills in the OPL, and a very safe player as well. And
like you said with the Amaterasu pick, and we said before the draft, don't put yourself on that back foot early against a team that heavily outmatches you, and especially a team like Avant, who they love this early game. They love the invades, the Thor, the Raven, etc. And I mean, this is just textbook Avant.
Idavine and Liquid Renegade have both hit level 5 here, but not looking to aggress onto Shank in the mid lane here. Chuckles, already forcing waves at the tower, looking now for the Fire Imps, and just putting himself even further ahead of Suspira. Duo lane. Let's talk about the duo lane of Avant. There's so many pieces to this Avant team that are all so good. Hard to get through them all in one game, but Rob Diggity and Gruff having fantastic splits as well. Over Avant themselves just having a great split. And, Rob Diggity, highest KDA, Gruff's highest kills. It's just, it's like, where do you try and put a weakness on this team? As Idavine picks up a kill in the Royal Custard, where do you pick on this team? It's just, it's really hard to find.
Well, I kind of liken, Avant to, enemy, like, as well as they play and as well as they do, and, they beat these top teams, people still kind of question them, maybe individually, maybe as a team, as we see Chuckle picks off Suspira there, and, Liquid takes the speed buff, and now they're taking the blue buff. It's not looking great for Royalty at all.
Yeah, so elaborate a bit more on that enemy. I think it's they play really well together as a team, which is something Enemy did really well as well. And they've got good shot calling. I'm not sure if it's Gruff or Liquid Renegade who call that out, but what I do know about this Avant squad is they're all very vocal guys. There's no one really on the team that's too quiet. Idavine is a little bit quiet publicly, but in game, he definitely gets very vocal.
Well, I think they're just confident, and they, with no one snowballs, I think at the moment, as we've seen this split against Corvidae, and now obviously they've got a bit of momentum going, no one quite snowballs a game like they do.
Alrighty, we can already see 3,000 experience, 2,500 gold, all in favor of Avant before 5 minutes into this game. Royal Custard going to be able to pick up the left-hand side mid camps, but other than that, they've really struggled for farm across the board. I think it's where their red buff got invaded by Avant Garde as well. I want to see... Yeah, Rob Diggity has their red buff, so all of their buffs were taken away by Avant in that last couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, I mean, Suspiria goes down again to Chuckles. I'm just trying to think of, you know, how can Royalty get, you know, some sort of footing on this game, even defensively, just to try and get themselves somewhat of a chance to get back into it.
It's crazy to think, but we're 5 minutes into a game and we're talking about how does Royalty get themselves back into the game. It's just Gold Fury falls down to Avant Garde there, and this looks really bad here from Royalty. All there from Liquid Renegade. Spin to win goes in as well. Shank can't knock him up while he's spinning, but managed to get away with a good Cataclysm from Hazy. Earthshaker comes out. Gruff's in a lot of trouble here, and Zagoras actually picks up a return kill. Liquid Renegade takes a damage knockup from Royal Custard. Zagoras gets another kill there, and that's the answer to how do they get back in the game. They punish an overextension from Avant Garde.
Yeah, really well played there. Good communication. We saw Zagoras drop the ultimate, and then, you know, Hazy do the 180 and throw his, Shank in the mid-roll, throw out his ultimate and, you know, pick up Gruff, and then they chased with a Royal Custard, a great ultimate from him.
The Spiro, dazzling offensive under the tower, stuns Chuckles out. Chuckles maybe looking to go aggressive again, uses the 9 turns blessing to heal himself up. Doesn't have the pin off cooldown yet, so can't force the Spiro to stay in lane here, but Chuckles 3 levels above his enemy Amaterasu.
Yeah, and again, the Amaterasu, so this far behind, how much of an impact can he really have, you know, as the game goes on and as the, you know, the lanes start to meet and we start to see these team fights, which Avant are going to force again, I'm sure, any second now on these buffs.
And they've got a ward on the red buff. They have a ward just above the speed buff, but they've got the timers on the speed and blue. Chuckles throwing down a ward there onto the blue. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit more about Liquid Renegade as we see him starting up the enemy speed buff. I know plays a fairly different god pool to what a lot of other junglers do. You know, really loves his Bologna in the jungle. Likes his Susano as well, but, you know, hasn't found the greatest success on a Thor pick, though, as Chuckles another solo kill there. It's the Spirit. Just like, what do you do at this stage? But the Thor pick I've always thought has been, you know, looking at how Liquid Renegade has gone on Thor is how you could tell how he and Avant have gone as a whole. You know, they had a lot of success just at the start of Split 1 of this year and just a little bit beforehand with all the qualifiers going on. And Liquid Renegade had some exceptional Thor play at that point. Through Split 1 and the start of Split 2, Liquid Renegade was playing Thor and just, you know, just seemed off, wasn't hitting his abilities, wasn't timing his ultimates and stuff correctly. Now, you know, the later half of Split 2 and the start of Split 3 here, he's been on point. It's been one of his better picks.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been known as, you know, the guy in the region who will play Thor, but to me it just looks like he has a newfound confidence and he's kind of dictating this Avant team around the map off of his aggression, as we see, you know, the double stun and the double tap on both the support and the jungler there for Royalty.
Chuckles is under the tower again in the turtle form, stunned out by Suspira, but he's not really worried about it. Divine gets a kill into Hazy in the mid lane here. Royal Custard, Typhoon ultimate, knocks up Gruffy and Divine as well, but they're relatively healthy still, Avant. Oh, the pluck! The purification was forced out by Rob. Deity gets it with the snipes up in the air. Liquid Renegade just diving the tower here, waiting to get a wall onto Shank. The turret comes out. Oh, the raw double tap from Liquid Renegade. Zagoras now stuck between 4 members of Avant, and they pick up another kill here. Chuckles is under the tower. He's trying to solo out Suspira. Can they get the Deicide? Hazy respawns just in time to prevent that from happening, but Chuckles, 4 kills, 4 solos on a Suspira.
Yeah, and looks like Avant should get this mid-tier 1 easily. I mean, it's the same kind of story as last week. Like, I know they can't surrender, but it's kind of looking like that, you know, like what they're going to start talking about game 2 already, because I just can't see any way in for them here, especially with Chuckles being, you know, this big and he's 4 levels ahead of Suspira. I just don't see any way back from this, as Chuckles takes his tower as well.
Yeah, it's not even 9 minutes of the game, let alone 10 minutes into the game, and I don't know. This is really rough from Royalty. We saw similar things to Corvidae last week. Gruff, again, just like last week against Corvidae, he's gone with Emperor's Armor's second item here after his reinforced shoes. And, you know, just like you said last week, why not?
Yeah, I mean, they've got the lead. All they need to do is now snowball that is to get these towers. So what's going to help you get these towers? Emperor's Armor. So perfect pickup, in my opinion.
Chuckles has done 6,500 damage already, 2,500 more than Liquid Renegade, and about 3 times as much as anyone on Royalty's gotten close to. In terms of the graphs as well, 8,000 experience, 6,700 gold.
And I'm gonna guess that probably 98% of that is to Suspira.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, wait, we can maybe check that. Is there a graph on damage taken? No, there isn't. This game there is, but not at this stage in the game. So speed buff here. Avant looking like they want to force a pick off the back this here, but instead go towards the speed buff. Red buff, the Goris is trying to contest it, but Liquid Renegade's here. He's actually knocked up by Royal Custard and gets him before he could teleport away with that Mjolnir's achievement, but Avant managed to secure the red buff at the price of Liquid Renegade.
Yeah, I mean, good pick there. Could open up an opportunity for Royalty to get this Gold Fury. The rest of Avant seemed to be more interested in the speed and blue, and Liquid wanted that red buff. I guess he got it, but no, traded his life for it.
Yeah, and you know, he's a semi-global ultimate with the Level of Dawn, and he's also, probably more importantly, the Wrath of the Wrath that's online with him for securing objectives or stealing objectives here. They've got a Vulcan ultimate online, they've got a Susano as well, a Cupid ultimate. Chuckles, I mean, just not quite a solo kill, but another kill down on Suspira. And, you know, with Avant pressuring this right-hand side, could go for a Gold Fury here because I don't think they're going to be able to defend this tier 2. You may as well trade it out for something that's worth relatively the same in terms of Golden XP. Beautiful immunity there by Divine onto the Vulcan ult.
Yeah, and, you know, there goes pretty much all of their team fights. As they look to fight here on the tier 2.
Yeah, Hazy taking some damage. Rob Diggity secures the Liquid Renegade. Solos the Goris in the mid lane here as well. Just 3 members of Royalty left up. Suspira trying to TP to the tower, but it falls down way too quickly. The Emperor's Armor doing a lot of work for Avant at this stage of the game as they're just rolling through, clearing out towers.
Yeah, they rotate very aggressively to mid. And we have a pause. Oh. Unpause, I guess.
Alright, yeah, so Goris is DC'd, so we're just going to wait for him to unpause here, but, you know, Avant, looking at this, 11.5 minutes in the game, all the solo lane towers down, mid tower, tier 1 is down, tier 2 tower about to be taken down as well. On the duo side, been left relatively untouched, but, you know, that's just been Rob Diggity and Gruff rotating to red buff, rotating to mid lane to help their team out, rather than just stay in lane and farm up. And, you know, Rob Diggity, I think, probably at this stage does it just about as well as anyone in the OPL in terms of rotating at the appropriate time. And, you know, with this run, what it allows him to do is he doesn't even need to rotate fully into the team fight. He can just rotate, you know, to the red buff pit or to the mid camp and contribute with that Astral Barrage ultimate. But now, what he's doing, shredding these towers with an Ickvol and some boots.
Yeah, and on the Rob Diggity topic, from having spoken to him, Liquid, I imagine, kind of dictates the early game, and then once, you know, they get the closer to, you know, grouping up and forcing these sieges and forcing these fights, I think it's Rob who actually makes all those calls. So that's why you would see him, you know, with such an aggressive rotation over to that tier 2 and kind of dictating his team around the map.
Alright, 12 minutes in, 11,000 experience, 11,000 gold in favor of Avant-Garde. That's, I mean, we said this last week, it was a little bit janky to say, but that's almost 1,000 gold and experience difference built up every minute, which is pretty incredible to see. You know, I guess we thought Legacy and Panda was pretty one-sided last set, but I mean, this is showing what one-sided really means.
Well, I wonder if, you know, they must be thinking about, can we break that record again last week as we broke against, you know, Desecrator and co.
Yep, I mean, it's a fun record to have, and I think they have also the second fastest or the third fastest game in the OPL as well, which is, you know, that's something that you should actually pay attention to. Is Avant really like to be aggressive early, really like to try and force things early. What can we exploit off that? What can we do? If we know they're going to make aggressive calls early, we know perhaps they're going to make this certain rotation, or they're going to make this certain call or this certain play. What can we look to exploit off the back of that?
As Chuck was on Hazy here, doesn't look like he's giving up much of a fight, not willing to use his ult either.
And Chuckles just 1v3, happy to get as the rest of his team pushes to the left-hand side. Divine gets a double kill. The tower's here as well. Chuckles forcing down the mid lane, actually picks up the kill onto Royal Custard 1v2. Knocked up by the Typhoon, but he's still going here in the mid lane. All towers down now for Royalty. Left-hand side, Phoenix is going to be the target now. Double tap here from Liquid Renegade. Blink in from Gruff. Hazy is knocked up, even using his Stone Shield. Knock up there from Shank. Down comes Liquid Renegade. Dunk. 1, 2 falls down. Idivine, Chuckles get the kill. Left-hand side, Phoenix is down. They could look for the end here when this Phoenix is dead, because it's just a Spear up for the next little while. Thagoras is respawned as well, actually. Dazzling Offensive used from the Amaterasu. Only stuns out Liquid Renegade. Some damage comes through with the Heavenly Reflection, but there's a lot of sustain with Avant-Garde, with the Sylvanas and the Chang'e. El Chuckles picks up Royal Custard. Liquid Renegade picks up Suspira. Just Thagoras left alive. No, he's not. Idivine picks up the kill, and they take the Titan to Avant. They've broken the record yet again. 2 weeks in a row. 2 shortest games in OPL history.
Oh, I didn't know you could end a game in 14 minutes, to be honest.
Oh. I mean, I've seen it in casuals. I haven't seen it in competitive before, to be fair. So, it's possible. Possible.
I mean,
apparently.
Where do you go from here as royalty?
Yeah. I tell you, there's a thing in the NFL and American football where when you get blown out, you know, after every game, what coaches like to do, they study the film, see where we can improve for next week. Those kind of games, what they do, they literally just burn the film. They burn it, throw it away, and say, that game never happened. That game never existed. And that's what royalty's got to do to a certain extent. Obviously, there's always something you can learn from there, and you can learn, you know, where Avant's going to rotate, what kind of calls they're going to make. Okay, we need to be a bit more prepared for an invade, but overall, you just have to put that game out of your mind, put your head down, soldier on to the next one. And we're going to take a short break here and be back with game number 2 of Avant and royalty.